Okay, good morning everyone. We're getting ready to go check on the chickens and the dogs and look at our first project of the morning period. It's actually a little past morning. It's almost mid-morning now, so the sun's kind of up. This is our trail on the way over to the chicken coop and dog run area, which we have over here. That's our chicken coop, and this fence is the edge of our dog run. We have Great Pyrenees, and over here is our future pole barn that we're working on. That'll be in later videos, but we have been working on a chicken coop, and the chicken coop has a small issue because of our lovely Great Pyrenees, in particular Boomer. He loves to dig, and so he's decided to dig a hole underneath the front door, and you'll be able to see why we need to fix it and why we did it in this particular way. Here's the chickens. Hey girls, how's it going, ladies? How you doing? Hey Sam, this is Sam. Hey buddy. There's Jack. Hey Jack. Hey buddy, how you doing? So here's our chicken coop that we're working on. We'll show some pictures here of this process so far. We're using cob for the walls, and we're putting rock base to help with drainage. And underneath, when we built the chicken coop, we dug a trench all under and set the posts, and then we built the coop up around it to make it secure. And you can see that we're using stucco mesh here, like a beefed up chicken wire, to support the cob as we go. And underneath, this is Boomer's pet project here. This is Sam. He's showing me the fun. Underneath, I think you can see underneath there is some hardware mesh. So underneath the chicken coop, for 2 feet deep, around the entire perimeter, there's Clementine, hey sweet girl, is hardware mesh, 1/4 inch hardware mesh, so that it keeps predators from digging in. Case in point, these guys aren't predators, but they do like to dig. This is Boomer, he's the culprit. Boomer, what you doing, Boomer? Did you find your hole? Yeah, so these are the chickens. They're all safe and secure in their little area. And even if a predator did try to get through and get past these dogs, they wouldn't be able to get past our hardware mesh, obviously. So today we're going to be mixing some cob and actually filling the hole with cob and rocks deep down. The soil out here is super hard, and we weren't able to actually put in our posts until we pre-drilled with a cement bit and drilled down, and then we were able to hammer in T-posts to support the posts for the run area. So it's very hard. So he was able to dig in this section because we had dug a trench with the tractor. So we're gonna take out the loose soil and we're gonna pack it with cob. You can see where we have cob around the frame of it, and he wasn't able to dig that because it is very hard packed and strong. So we're just gonna continue with cob and replace it and hopefully break his habit while we continue to dig the rest of the chicken coop here. We'll do a tour of the chicken coop at another time, but that's today's morning start to projects right now. And Boomer, don't be sad, Boomer. You can dig holes in other places. You got a lot of yard. See, he has lots and lots of space out here. Lots of space. It goes way around. They have about a little over an acre of fenced area to roam and dig. So Boomer, you gotta dig in other places, buddy. You gotta dig other holes. Yes, it's okay. It's all right, Boomer. Anyway, check back in when we start mixing the cob, and we'll show you the progress. We're doing the mix for the cob. This section here, you can see the edges of our tarp underneath it. This is a load of clay that I brought in from another part of the property to use for this purpose. It's more pure clay than the stuff we have up here on the hill. So John is loosening it up so we can use it for this cob mixture. So we mix a couple scoops of clay to a couple scoops of, it's supposed to be sand. This is like a sand clay mix, and it also has the sort of aggregate of this decomposing granite, which is what we have when I had excavation done for the house. So this we find makes a pretty good mix, and it has some small sort of granite rubble in it as well, and we like that. And then we also use straw, which we have here. It's not hay, it's straw, because straw doesn't have the seeds in it, and it's, you know, choppable. We're using unchopped straw right now because this is kind of the coarse mix. It's going to be a mix that goes into the hole, which is over there under the chicken door. And then we use these trays. They're for mixing mortar and cement, and got them at Lowe's in that section, and we like to use them for the cob mixture, and then we can take it over to where we're working to stuff the cob in. So we mix it in here using water, straw, more pure clay, and a sandy mixture. And then we will have our mixture and start placing it into the hole. Here's our first 2 scoops of clay. We have Clementine down here guarding the mixture. There's 3. And then we're going to get our sand mixture in there as well. And then the fiber will come from the straw. You can also use, for the finer mixes, animal hair and different things. Of course, we often use Pyrenees hair for that. You can see it laying where we brush them. This is what we do. We put the straw in here. Like 2 large handfuls of straw for this size mixture, and then we kind of put it in there like that. And we have our water prepared and our pouring jugs. Pour that in, and then it's a lot like bread dough mixture. John's putting on gloves so that we can avoid having too many stains under the fingernails of the clay, because clay is notorious for staining. So we do use gloves for it when we can, just to keep it easier. And these ones are nice, grippy work glove type disposables. So we start mixing, just kneading like bread essentially, and it'll start out kind of soupy. You can see the water is in there, and then we have mixing the clay up from the bottom and the sandy part. And then eventually it becomes a big bread dough consistency wad. And then that's what we put into the hole that we're trying to fill in this case. Usually we use it as almost like a building block. So once you get this initial mixture going, you can kind of feel it. If it's too wet, you can add more clay or more sand mixture. That's about how much straw we do. We don't usually add more of the straw. We just adjust the clay sand portions as needed. So this is 2 more scoops of clay and 1 more scoop of the sand clay mix with the rocks in it. And we're leaving the rocks in, even the larger looking ones, because it is going under the threshold, and we want to teach this puppy to avoid digging, and we want it to be a little bit more stout in the end. So it's getting better now there. And as it gets wet, the clay clumps that have formed will start to break apart, and we'll start to bind everything together.
More clay, huh?
Yeah, feels a little sandy. So he's saying it feels a little bit gritty. It's not wanting to bind very much, so we're going to add more of the clay mixture. And that should do it, I would think. But the cool thing about cob is you just feel it, and when it feels right, you stick it on there and it works. It's pretty amazing. There we go. That's doing better. So you can see we start with a recipe and then go by feel. So there's, and depending on what your soil is and what your soil feels like, you can adjust it as needed, but you want to have pretty good mixture of like more pure clay to the sandy parts. Make it packable. And then you can test it to see in your hands if it will clump. And it holds a ball if you're holding it sideways. You can see how that's holding together, even when he holds it sideways. So that's a pretty good mixture. We're going to work that a little bit more just to even it out, but I think that's a pretty good mixture. We can add more or less water depending on how dry it is and all of that, and then we just put it into the place where we want it to be. All right, so John has moved the box over here to the area underneath the door. He's getting a ball of cob and he's going to be shoving it deep under where Boomer has been enjoying his quest to explore the world underneath. And now Clementine is very helpful. They love to help, don't we? Don't we love to help Miss Clementine? She's sweet as a clementine. But she's not sweet if you are a coyote trying to get her chickens, right? Not sweet when that happens. No. Hey, sweet girl. Yes. You want to be on the camera? All right, so you can see how it's sort of starting to pack. I'll get in there. The shadow might be holding it, but it's packing hard in there. And this is a really straw-heavy mixture because we want it to have more fiber in order to hold together underneath this shelf. And you can see where he's putting it. Boomer was able to dig under, but not the cob and stone mixture on top. So it made up a little shelf. So John's filling in underneath that now. And it'll all harden as much as the surface section did. So, and then here is Clementine needing her belly rub. That's what they do, they need belly rubs. Yeah, hi sweet girl. Hi sweet girl. All right, so this is the cob experience, and then the chickens are approving. She's looking through the window, making sure John's doing everything to her specifications for her little house. It's working, Ginger. All right, so I'm gonna leave John to that, and then we'll go check on what we're doing with the rest of our day of projects. All right, now on to the next part of the projects for today. I'm working on some painting projects. You can see this hutch, my shade structure. I always take the shade part off of it during the night in case it gets windy. Anyway, we like to paint in the shade. This is bright purple and it's because we had some leftover paint and we were mixing things together. So we're using the paint. This is going to be a delivery box. I'll show you that in another video for packages and whatnot. But this is the hutch that is purple, and it's an old kitchen hutch from probably the 70s, I think, maybe a little earlier than that. And my friend Carrie and I have been working on painting it. There's a black chalkboard section here and here, and everything else is just, leftover paint. And then we reinforced the hutch with 1x and some 2x4 structure, and then there's going to be metal on the top for the roof to keep it shaded and out of the rain. And on the back, you can see the purpose of this little booth is going to sit at the end of my driveway out here, and it will be for the purpose of selling eggs, the extra eggs that we produce from our lovely chickens. And people will be able to come and get their eggs out of the shelf area. On this side, we'll have the fresh eggs here, and then a return for egg cartons over here. There will be a cash box here, and you can pay with cash or Venmo. So if you're in the area and need some eggs, these eggs are delicious because Betty makes them. That's the chicken's name, and she's wonderful. So just putting that out there. But this is one of the projects I'll be working on today. We were painting yesterday on that. I need to finish some trim painting around the bottom and finish the signage on the back and put the metal on the roof. In addition to that, I'll be painting today over here. We're working on building a solar array for one of our little guest spaces for a cousin to stay in while she's visiting. So my job is to paint the lumber for that, the top part of that array, because the array is also going to be doubling as a shed storage space. So we have regular 2x4 studs, and the parts that will be exposed or could be exposed, they won't be fully exposed to the elements, will be painted. And we're using, again, leftover paint. We had a mixture, and it mixed and made this really cool green color, which now I want to duplicate. So in painting this, I've painted part of these boards on the side, and now I need to paint the other parts, and then we'll be taking this down to where we're building the solar array. So that's what I'll be doing over here. Got to go set up my shade cloth and get my paint supplies out, and that's what we'll be working on. We're going to check back in on John's cob project. He's all finished up with his project for the day. He did about, I think, 5 batches. He used more of the clay. You can see the edges of the tarp are almost to the bottom of the pile. There's the tools that we used for that. We'll take them out later. And there's our digging pair and the chickens greeting us. This is our chicken coop again. We'll show some pictures at the end of the video of the process to get to this point so far. We've put a table, our work table, in front of the area to keep Boomer from digging. And then here's the cob all filled into the hole. You can see it's kind of smooth packed in there, and as that dries and sets up, it'll be very hard like the walls. We put a lot of straw in there and to give that fiber content to make it really strong and hard underneath that threshold. So hopefully that'll break him from doing that. The rest of the soil out here is really naturally packed, and it's hard for anybody, even me, to dig. In fact, digging this with the tractor was difficult in itself, just to get the trench deep enough to put the hardware cloth down. So that's our project so far today. I'll go back and check on the paint a little bit later, and then we'll check in and see what's going on in the next video as well. All right, here's my paint section over here. I got most of the boards painted. I have a few more to go, but we're getting ready to stop for lunch. So I've got my boards that have finished right over here. I've got probably about 6 more to go that still need paint for our solar array / storage area, and then we will be ready to go for that project in a future video. I do love that green paint. I have to try to duplicate that in the real world and not just a strange mixture of leftovers. So anyway, fun day in the shade, good project with the cob filling, and we'll check in with the next time.